Have you ever wondered if there is a secret hidden right before our eyes that can predict how long and how well we will live? You have probably heard that genetics matter a lot, or that a hereditary predisposition can make a difference in determining our future state of health. But what if I told you that there are small signals, sometimes almost imperceptible, that are worth more than any DNA test? What if I told you that, if you are between the ages of 65 and 80 and still possess 8 specific skills, your chances of living in good shape until you are over 90 or even 100 are much higher than you normally think? We have often been convinced that growing old means losing strength, having a foggy memory, and dragging ourselves through the day with less energy. But this is not the case for everyone. In fact, many people who live into their 70s and even 90s demonstrate enviable vitality, maintaining physical, mental, and relational abilities that many take for granted. Why? Because they continue to cultivate those essential aspects of the body and mind that we often neglect. Some of these abilities, perhaps, you might take for granted. But, believe me, this is not the case. Each one holds a secret to how your body is aging, and truly understanding them can change your life. In today's video, I'm going to reveal 8 signs that indicate if you are aging exceptionally. I warn you, you might discover things that will surprise you, and why not, that will also make you think about your lifestyle. Above all, the 8th sign might surprise you. It is something that almost no one talks about, but it makes a huge difference not only in the length, but in the quality of your life. Before you start, write in the comments, "I want to live a long time," so I will understand that you are there, that you want to take care of yourself, and that you are part of this journey with me. If you like what you find in this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. In this way, you will help me grow and bring even more useful content to you and the entire community. Are you ready? Let's get started. First sign, getting up from a chair without using your hands. Let's start with something that may seem trivial, but it contains an incredible wealth of information about your physical state. Can you get up from a chair without resting your hands on the armrests or knees? If so, you may underestimate how rare this is among people between the ages of 65 and 80. In fact, many need to push themselves up with their hands. Why is this small daily action so important? Because it shows that your leg muscles, core muscles, abdominal and lumbar bands, and balance work together harmoniously. As we age, muscles tend to thin and lose strength, a process known as sarcopenia. But this degeneration is not the same for everyone. Keeping them toned requires constant movement and small daily workouts that we often ignore. Imagine the story of Mario, 77, who until a few months ago could get up from the couch with ease. One day, during a checkup at the doctor, he noticed that he was starting to put pressure on his arms to lift himself. The doctor pointed out that if he didn't pay attention to this change, in a few years, he could be at risk of falling. From that moment on, Mario decided to include some light exercises in his routine. Seated leg raises, some squats assisted with a chair, and simple stretching in the morning. Within a few weeks, he noticed a marked improvement. The ability to stand up without using your hands also says a lot about your future autonomy. Think about how many daily actions we do: getting out of bed, sitting down and getting up from the toilet, even getting in and out of the car. All these actions require a minimum amount of strength in the lower limbs. And the longer you retain it, the lower the risk of domestic accidents. Remember, strengthening your legs doesn't mean lifting absurd weights. Free body exercises and constant walking are enough. If now, trying, you realize that you need to push yourself with your arms, don't despair. With gradual and constant training, you can recover. The goal is always to be able to say, "I get up with my legs without help." This, more than any certificate, is a sign of a body that is aging harmoniously. Second signal, walk briskly without getting out of breath. The second sign has to do with your walking speed. Can you walk at a fast pace, perhaps like when you have to hurry to a bus stop, without running out of breath? If so, you are already ahead of many people your age. Walking at a good pace means that your heart, lungs, and muscular system are working together efficiently. Numerous studies have shown that walking speed is a great indicator of cardiovascular health and, indirectly, longevity. The faster we can sustain a brisk pace without fatigue, the more likely it is that our heart is pumping blood well, our lungs are oxygenating our body properly, and our muscles are receiving the necessary nourishment. Often, people don't realize they're losing stamina until they're panting for short distances. Take Carlo, 74. He lived on the 4th floor of a walk-up building and, until a certain age, could easily climb the stairs. One day, however, he began to notice that he was increasingly out of breath and had to slow down during his daily walks. Feeling an unusual decline, he decided to have a medical checkup, where he was advised to incorporate some light aerobic training. He began taking evening walks, gradually increasing the pace and distance. After a few weeks, Carlo was climbing the stairs almost as well as before, and he no longer felt out of breath during his walks. If you recognize yourself in this situation, know that it is a normal phenomenon, but this does not mean you have to accept it passively. You can train. Start with short but decisive walks. If today you struggle after 5 minutes, do not be discouraged. Continue walking every day, gradually increase the time, and you will see that you will be able to move with more ease again. Our aerobic capacity can be recovered, at least in part, even in old age. And don't forget that a good walk doesn't just train your body, it also trains your mind. Walking quickly and consistently improves cerebral circulation, supports memory, increases attention and clarity. So, if you find that you have no problem walking at a good pace, you can rejoice. It means that you are maintaining a better level of fitness than you might think. Third signal, keep balance on one foot for at least 10 seconds. Try, right now if it is safe for you, to balance on one foot for at least 10 seconds. It seems like a no-brainer, but it is not so obvious. Having balance requires the synergy of the musculoskeletal system, the inner ear, vision, and nerve signals. If even one of these elements weakens or jams, you will notice immediately. The question to ask yourself is, when was the last time you consciously tested your balance? Often, we only realize that we have lost a little balance when we stumble more easily or when we lean against a wall to put on a shoe. Let's take the testimony of Angela, 76 years old, once very lively and always on the move. One day, standing on one leg to put on her pants, she realized she had to hold onto the chair to keep from falling. Angela loved going out with friends, walking to the grocery store, moving around independently. Frightened by the prospect of losing that independence, she decided to adopt a small daily ritual. Every morning in the living room, she tried to balance on one leg for a few seconds, then switched legs. Little by little, she managed to stand for 10, 15, and even 20 seconds without leaning. Angela noticed that, in addition to improving her balance, she gained greater confidence in her everyday movements. Why is it so important to maintain balance? Because falls are one of the biggest health risks after the age of 60-65. They can lead to fractures, hospitalizations, and a slow recovery that often limits the quality of life. So don't underestimate the small signs of loss of stability. If you can maintain balance on one foot for at least 10 seconds without wobbling, it means that your muscles and reflexes are still in good shape. And even if you can't do it right now, the great thing is that there are simple exercises, like walking on your heels and then on your toes, or doing balance exercises near a support. that can greatly improve this ability. Continue to cultivate your balance as if it were a precious resource. It will guarantee you a more independent and serene life, without the fear of stumbling at the slightest obstacle. Fourth signal: getting down and getting up without help. This sign is even more revealing. Many older people start avoiding sitting on the floor with their grandchildren, or kneeling to fix something because they are afraid they won't be able to get up again. But if you can still kneel down, sit on the floor, and get back up without help, you have an extraordinary advantage over the average. Think about it. To get up off the floor, you need to recruit strength in your thighs, glutes, and coordination in your back and abdominals, as well as a certain level of flexibility in your ankles and knees. It's a set of movements that, while seemingly simple, engages virtually your entire body. When we start to lose this ability, we often resign ourselves to a more static lifestyle. The story of Giovanna, 78, is an example. She loved taking care of her home garden, but she realized that after spending some time arranging the flower beds on her knees, she had a lot of difficulty getting back on her feet. One day, while she was watching her grandson play on the carpet, her heart sank. She wanted to sit there with him, but she was afraid she wouldn't be able to get up on her own. She then decided to turn to a physiotherapist, who taught her gradual movements to make her legs stronger and her back more flexible. Thanks to simple and consistently repeated exercises, after a few months, Giovanna went back to sitting on the carpet without fear, regaining that pleasure of playing with her grandson. You can try it too. Approach a chair or a sofa, so you have a safety support if necessary. Kneel down slowly and try to sit on the floor. Then, calmly stand up again, relying on your legs and core more than your arms. Can you do it? If so, it's a great sign of future autonomy. If you feel uncertain, know that with targeted training, it is possible to improve. The key word, as always, is gradualness. Don't force yourself into difficult positions right away, but include mobility exercises and small bends every day. Maintaining this ability means having the freedom to act at home without fear of getting stuck on the floor. A fundamental piece for active and, above all, serene aging. Fifth signal: carrying a shopping bag without effort. We don't have to become bodybuilders to age well, but core strength is certainly essential. If you can still lift and carry a full grocery bag without stopping every 2 steps, you're in good physical condition. We often neglect these aspects because we tend to ask for help, perhaps from our children or our partner. But the more we ask others to carry the weights for us, the less our muscles are stressed, and the faster we lose strength. Consider Marco, 75, who used to be the house's jack of all trades, always ready to fix small repairs. He began to notice that water bottles were tiring him. He slowly realized that he preferred to make shorter trips from the car into the house. These were signs that his muscles were becoming less resistant. Instead of giving up, Marco introduced light strength training. For example, a couple of times a day, he would lift water bottles like small weights. He would work out with a soft ball to squeeze to improve his grip. And he would do push-ups against the wall to strengthen his arms and shoulders. Within a few months, he was amazed at how much strength he had regained, and he went back to making a single big purchase like in the good old days. Grip strength, which can also be measured by squeezing a special dynamometer, is one of the most important factors for longevity, according to several studies. It reflects not only the musculature of the hand and forearm, but also the general health of your musculoskeletal system. If grocery shopping still comes easy to you, if you can carry the bag home without pauses or pain, you have a clear sign of good condition. Here too, if you feel like you've lost power, there are solutions. Lifting very small weights, even just a half-liter bottle, and repeating the gesture several times a day can yield surprisingly good results. After all, it's not about becoming a bodybuilder, It's about maintaining the strength threshold necessary to live independently, without having to ask for help with every little errand. Sixth signal, climbing a flight of stairs without having to make stops. You have no idea how much information you can glean from a simple flight of stairs. If you can walk up a flight of stairs without stopping to catch your breath or massage your legs, your heart, lungs, and muscles are working together pretty well. We all know that stairs are a major obstacle. They are not at all like walking on the flat. Each step requires pushing force from the calves, the quadriceps, and your breathing must increase a little to support the effort. If you feel like you can climb to the top without your heart pounding, you are already very physically fit for your age. Let's take the example of Lucia, 73 years old. She lives on the 3rd floor and doesn't have an elevator. For years, she considered this a nuisance, until she realized that many of her peers avoided even a single flight of stairs. Lucia, on the other hand, found it normal to climb the stairs without stopping, even if every now and then she slowed down a little. Realizing this good fortune, she began to use the stairs as a daily workout. If she felt more tired the first few times, she stopped only for a moment without giving up the exercise. Soon she noticed improvements and understood that those steps, which she had hated so much, had been a fundamental tool for her well-being. People who stop using the stairs, perhaps always taking the elevator, begin a downward spiral. They weaken their leg muscles, lose endurance, and become more sedentary. If, however, you continue to tackle a few steps every day, even just a couple of times, you train your heart and lungs without the need for special equipment. If, for health reasons, the effort is too much, you could start with just one flight of stairs a day and gradually increase. But if at the moment you can easily walk up a flight of stairs, congratulate yourself. You are on the right path to healthy aging. It is a sign of physical efficiency that not everyone maintains, and it makes a big difference in daily autonomy. Seventh signal, remember recent conversations and events. Let's move on to the mind. Another fundamental sign of excellent aging is the ability to easily recall recent events. If you can easily recall what a friend told you 2 days ago, or if you don't lose the thread of a speech during a conversation, you are preserving a faculty that many people are starting to feel fading. Memory is not just a list of memories. It is the result of the interaction of different areas of the brain, the efficiency of your neurons, good blood circulation, and even your emotional state. In fact, stress, loneliness, or depression can often compromise the ability to memorize what we hear. Let's take the example of Giorgio, 79 years old, still very mentally active. He loves reading the newspaper every morning, doing puzzles and crosswords, and discussing current events with friends. Thanks to these activities, he has noticed that he can accurately remember not only news stories, but also the small details of a conversation that took place a few days before. His peers are often surprised. How do you keep everything in your mind? And he responds that the mind must be kept in training, just like muscles. On the contrary, when we notice that we often forget names or lose the thread of a conversation, we might be overcome by anxiety or the belief that we are aging badly. But that's not necessarily the case. Memory can be stimulated at any age, especially if combined with a healthy lifestyle. Taking short walks, maintaining social relationships, learning something new, it could be a recipe, a foreign language, or a new game, helps our brain a lot to remain elastic. So, if you are still easily recalling the contents of a movie you saw yesterday, or remembering your grandchildren's birthdays, news items you read in the newspaper, or even the lines of a recent conversation, that's a great sign. Congratulations! You are aging not only physically but also mentally in the best possible way. Eighth signal, wake up rested and ready to face the day. And here we finally come to the eighth signal, the one that often goes unnoticed, the quality of your awakening. If in the morning you open your eyes and you actually feel rested, full of energy, without that heavy head sensation, it means that your body is able to regenerate well during the night. Quality sleep is essential for longevity. During the night's rest, the body repairs tissues, strengthens the immune system, re-elaborates the information acquired during the day, and cleans the brain of metabolic waste. Unfortunately, with age, it becomes more common to encounter difficulties in falling asleep, frequent night awakenings, or a superficial sleep that does not give that feeling of recovery. Think of Rita, 74, who woke up every day already tired. She didn't understand why. She started to take care of her sleep hygiene. She reduced the use of her cell phone and TV before bed. She established a fixed time to go to sleep and created a small, relaxing routine. A herbal tea, a good book, soft lights. In a few weeks, Rita began to wake up more lucid and recharged, ready to dedicate herself enthusiastically to her daily activities. If, on the contrary, you wake up with difficulty, you may want to investigate the causes. It could be linked to sleep apnea problems, awkward hours, too much caffeine, or other factors that disturb deep sleep. Never underestimate the power of a good rest. The more we sleep well, the more our immune system remains efficient, the brain works better, and the mood stabilizes. That's why, if you usually jump out of bed with enthusiasm and feel ready to face the day, you really deserve a round of applause. It's the indicator of a body and a mind that know how to regenerate themselves. And this is an extra gear that few manage to maintain as the years go by. The information you have received today is much more than just a checklist. We've analyzed together 8 signs that tell you a lot about the way you're aging. If you've found yourself with more than one of these signs, maybe 4, 5, or even all 8, then you're in luck. It means your body and mind are not only aging well, but they have the traits researchers associate with a higher likelihood of living a healthy, active life in the future. If you liked the video or it was useful, click like, press the thanks button that you find right under this video, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications of the next videos. See you soon and have a good life!